I haven't yet.
So I believe I found it.
I think we're live.
We're live.
We're live. We're sharing. Hello,
This
everybody.
is amazing. I don't see where we're live, but I trust and believe you.
You trust and believe us. We're rolling. Hello, everybody. Come join us. Welcome to this Soul and Social. I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Renee. And today is super flippin' exciting. I'm so excited. We've got two amazing high vibe ladies here. We've got positive psychologist and branding message genius, Laura Mzhickteno. Mzhickteno. I say it wrong. Mzhickteno. And the amazing Daleen Pinder, high vibe energy queen and host of Creating Direction. So we're super excited to be talking to these ladies today about tuning into higher frequencies, because I know these gals, they have kick-ass businesses and they are very big advocates for staying high vibe and keeping their energy up, and they implement these mindfulness practices and mindset practices into their daily routines to stay that way. We do too. So we're gonna have some fun. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate you, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm very, very flattered. It's just love being in your space, you guys. This is some of my favorite people. So yeah, it's gonna be a great show.
I know. It was like, why not take all of us fun people and do a show together?
Yeah.
We've just decided we're fun. We've decided that.
Yeah.
You are fun.
All fun.
Before we came on the show, we were having some interesting conversations about raising our vibe and kind of like, I'll start here. So Tara had a situation before the show where we weren't sure if she was going to be able to make it. And I had booked a yoga class with singing bowls, which I have never been to. I've never actually been somewhere where they do the singing bowls.
So good.
And I tried to cancel it this morning because I'm like, well, if Tara can't make it, I have to be here and ready and, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I couldn't cancel it. So I decided I'm going to go, I'll make it work. It's going to be perfect. So I lay down in the class and it's a full class, and the instructor comes in and she's like, our intention for today is tuning into our higher frequencies and raising our vibration. And I'm like, of course it is. It was really interesting. And I know, like, for me, I have singing bowls, but she used the big Himalayan ones, and I've never heard the vibration that comes out of that. But I tell you, laying there, you could feel it. And I had told Laura and Tara right before that I instantly just started crying, and it wasn't sad crying. It was just, I couldn't stop. So it was absolutely wild to me. So I know for myself, it was neat today with our intention for the show being about raising our vibration and tuning into frequencies, and to experience that first thing in the morning coming into the show. So like, you ladies are experts in this.
I don't know if I'm an expert in it. Daleen is probably the expert here. Although it's interesting because I had an experience this morning, and I think Tara can really speak to the power of this. I have the most amazing clients. These coaches are amazing women. And one of them inspired me to clean out my space to grow and expand, right? It's something she's been doing with her clients. And I did it to my space. And it was like instantly I felt this lightness, this space, this room to grow and expand. And I know Tara is like a rock star at interiors and doing this for people, but
Yeah.
I have to say, like, I had never experienced it that much for myself like I am today. So it's funny, we both had these morning experiences, and I have a new appreciation for Tara's genius in that area.
Aw, thank you. It's true, though. This is a good time. I know I've been talking to a few people. Heather Clark, too. She's a detox specialist. And there's been a lot of that going on right now with this decluttering and making space and room for new. So it's a great time for it.
Yeah.
It is a great time. Absolutely. And I, you know, that like the number one thing that everybody asks me is, how do I stay so high vibe? Like, how are you always like this energized person? And I, you know, Laura, we've been working together and she's been helping me dig deep, because sometimes you can't see your things you're really good at because it's so part of your normal. And I think like sometimes I feel a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I just focus on one thing at a time. And so anything else, it just repels off me. And until I'm very good at being laser focused. And I think that that helps because of the going back to the decluttering. My mind is decluttered because I only have one focus, where I think so many people have where they are getting their vibration lower is because they have too much on their plate and they're trying to do a million things and like multitask, which is like a disaster for your vibration. Right? And so I kind of can pinpoint that, and as well as having very firm rituals like daily success habits. It's just what keeps me grounded and in that state of being able to sort of roll with life. Sometimes maybe when I feel like I'm not responsible, because I'm constantly like, I'll do that later. Like, okay, this is what we're working on. This and I just operate like in that zone. I don't know. And
well,
maybe
you know,
go ahead.
Well, you know, it's actually really, it's so true. That's one of the things that I've learned too. Multitasking is a little bit of insanity, right? Because you're trying to put your energy in different places. And I'm super guilty of this. Like, it's something that I've really had to practice and work on, and I've gotten much better at it. But definitely, like, you know, when this week some things pop up and, you know, I'm in the midst of my house being for sale and all these different things going on where, you know, you're in this I feel it right now. I totally feel this, like I've got energy going in different places. So it's definitely something I have to be really mindful of right now, and really tuning into where I'm putting my energy, just because there are multiple things going on. But absolutely, it makes you a little crazier.
You know, it's funny. I took a yoga entrepreneur class, or yogi entrepreneur class here in Edmonton about 1.5 years ago. And he was saying, I tend to want to be doing and having like a million cookies in different cookie jars, and one of them is going to work. You know, you end up putting yourself in too many places and giving too much. And he said, he's like, you need to literally stop it all, slow down, and don't do as much. Like, do your meditation in the morning, do your yoga in the morning, do your journaling, and then do a little bit of work, and then go for a walk and do a little bit of work. And I'm like, but growing up in an entrepreneurial family, you have to be moving, you have to be doing, because if you're not making money. So it went against all logic, you know, and it goes with the multitasking, that you actually have to stop and slow down and be mindful of what you are doing in order to be able to put everything in it and still have that energy, like you're saying, Daleen.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing about that is every time, like, because I'll get in that same, like, go, hustle. I think all of us entrepreneurs do. But every time that I do just like sort of stop and give myself space and relax, it's like, that's when I grow. And what's interesting is everything still gets done. When I'm in hustle, like work, overwhelm mode, like, it's like, oh, I got to get it done, or I'm afraid it won't get done. But when I relax and I take it easy, it all still gets done, and I create space to grow. And so it's funny how it's almost like, sometimes I think to myself, like, the lazier I am in my business, the more it grows.
Well, and you end up being more profitable, which goes against all logic.
I know. And you know what? I'm going to share like this is just something I created. It's not like it came from anywhere, it just came from, but I know why that happens. So I actually have like a PDF for this, but like, just imagine a triangle, right? So at the top of the triangle is where most people operate.
Yeah.
And that's that space where you're like, woo, you got like a bazillion thoughts and da 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 da. And there's so much little space there that you are just so not productive because your mind is racing and you're wasting so much time. But when you bring yourself down to being completely present, so in that at the top, you're not really present, you're just running through the motions of life. And so when you bring yourself down, it creates much more space, and it's a better place to operate in.
It is really. And you're more grounded when you do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the thing too is to bring in that self-love. So because let's be honest, life is life, and you think you're going to do this today, and then like other crap comes in. and then you have to switch that focus. And like one thing I think is important to practice is that self-love. Like there's only one of us, and so it would be beautiful if we could duplicate ourselves into 100 people. Wouldn't it be amazing? 100 Daleens? Oh my God. But you know what I mean? And so like
Renee, I want to, sorry, go ahead.
No.
I want to ask you a question about that, because you just made that comment about being more grounded. And and I don't know if you have an answer to this, but sometimes, I don't know about you gals, but I feel so expansive that I almost feel like I could just float away. Does anybody ever experience this feeling? So when you said that word grounded, I was like, it sort of hit me like, oh, like I sort of sometimes feel like I'm just exploding away. So I would love to hear if you have something to say about that.
Well, it was interesting. I was saying to you guys beforehand, in yoga today, I find yoga really grounding. For me personally, I'd taken 7 months away from it, and my brain went like neurotic. And so I've been back at it for a month again, almost daily, and at the studio, and it brings me back down and it clears my mind. And for an hour a day, I can't think. The only thing I'm thinking about is my breath. And I find for the rest of the day, I can actually, like, my brain isn't racing. I'm not thinking of a million other things. And today, like in the class today, it was quite different, the class today. And with the bowls and all that, there was one point where I can totally relate, Laura. I was lying there and we were in Shavasana at the end, and she's, banging on the bowl and ringing it. And it was almost like I could feel the energy coming up, like if you call it Mother Earth or, Mother. And then you could almost feel the energy showering down on you. And I said, it was like my body was attached to the ground. I wasn't floating, but it felt like, so I can completely relate with you, Laura. Like, it's just this, it's almost like a euphoric feeling where you just feel free. If there's any other word for it, grounded, but there's just no weight. Like you're not feeling the weight of the world on you. You feel held.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about sound and vibrations is it is a tool that you can use to change and to shift your energy, just like a music, throwing on that favorite song of yours is a way to shift that energetic state you're in. And I think a lot of times when we get stuck in that energetic state, we don't realize that we can change what we're doing. We can put on some music. We can do some different things to change our energy and direct it in a different way versus getting stuck and going deeper and deep. It's like you wake up in the morning, you stub your toe, and all day you're like, oh, dang, I'm having the worst day. I stubbed my toe. But you could change that. You could easily shift that, throw on some rocket music and jump up and down and go, I heard my toe dance, and I don't know. But vibrational sounds are one thing that I know it's even in meditation class, we use them a lot with the mantras and chanting so that we can tune into those different frequencies. And I think it's really cool.
Super cool.
Very cool.
Super cool.
Do you ladies use music sometimes? For our viewers, as a tool to change your vibration.
Yeah, I love to sing, and I just learned to play the guitar like 2 years ago. So definitely music is a huge part of me, and it's one of my favorite things to do is to perform. And Laura's a performer too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I use music, but my place in life was always the stage. I did theater and acting. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is, we spend about like 30% of our time sort of daydreaming, except when we engage in a story, whether it's a play or a movie or a book, when we engage in a story, all of that stops. Like they've done brain scans and you literally just focus in and become captivated in that story. And you neurologically travel on the same wavelength of what's happening in that story, like with the ups and downs. And that's why, so for me, I love music, but for me, what really is kind of that calming sense for me is like when I get into that story and when because that fully focuses and engages my mind. And I almost see it as like a quasi meditation.
I like that.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, and you because you live in gorgeous sunny Florida, us Alberta girls here. we're a little bit in the snow right now, but -30. I know for me, like especially when I can get outdoors, like nature, the ocean, being in touch there, like that's a way for me. I find it raises my vibration, like just like instant, like it's that whole grounding, that earthing.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, absolutely. Getting out in nature. I mean, they say that like being at the beach really changes your brain.
Yeah. Well, and you think of the waves and the energy and all of that, because we are 75% water. And being in that environment of the water.
And the tides and the moon, like I'll go out to the beach when, there's like a full moon or a new moon, and there's a difference being there and feeling that. You can feel the stronger pull of that energy there because of the way it's affecting the tide and everything.
Yeah. Well, and even one other thing most people don't think about is food. Yeah. Food can change your vibration. And I mean, if you're eating highly processed or alcohol, like a lot of alcohol, highly processed foods, sugars, stuff like that, it lowers your vibration and it numbs you. So if you're eating clean, you don't have to eat all organic, but eat clean, lower the amount of meat you're eating and get the alcohol and sugar out of there. And you actually feel more. So a lot of people, when they do clean their diets up, have a hard time in the beginning because they're feeling they crave the crap because they've never dealt with what's underneath it. So, even food is another way.
Yeah. Daleen probably knows a lot about this because she's right in touch with the country.
Yes. Fresh food is definitely awesome. And I want to, since we're on the health topic, exercise for me, it's something that declutters my mind.
Yeah.
And it's just like when I'm out walking, and I love being in nature as well, that it's almost like everything is just getting filed where it needs to be, and I don't need to, it doesn't take up any space. So that's one of the reasons, I love the health benefits of exercise, but for me, it's more of a mental cleanse. It's, and I know, because it's been 40 below here, mind you, I've been checking cows, but, just even that state that I get in when I'm on my walk, just for that purpose of decluttering my mind, I know that definitely supports me to stay high vibe.
Well, you guys, it's like 80 degrees here, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, it's like, what are you today? I think we were at -27 this morning, and you're only a couple hours away, right?
Come to a live show here with me.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could morph in the screen and somehow get in there, we would. Trust me.
Yes, so I'm curious on you all's thoughts. I notice that when I fast, I'm extra high vibe and I have extra energy and I have extra focus and clarity. And obviously I couldn't sustain it for forever, but do you have that experience? And what do you make of that?
I do. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say because I've never fasted, but maybe I should try.
Well, Renee, you're probably more of the expert on this, but my understanding is because it gives your digestive system a chance to actually rest. So your energy is not being put towards digesting food and things, but I'll let you because you're.
No, it's very true. Tara, you're right on. And your food, you know, your digestive system does get a break. But when you are fasting, you're taking in a lot of liquids. So you're taking a lot of water, and that water has energy as well, and it's neutralizing. So you're neutralizing or balancing your pH in your body, which also raises it a bit, because you need to be alkaline, not acidic. And a lot of, you know, stress, even just stress can make us acidic inside, and it causes disease. And so when you are fasting, it's your body's way of purging out and getting rid of all the things that have been stuck in there, because your system does still push everything out. So I think it's amazing. And, you know, a lot of people use fasting right before, you know, they do a full day of prayer, or because you really shouldn't do much activity when you're fasting, but, you know, doing a lot of meditation while you're doing it, and journaling, because your mind is clear in that moment. So I think you are more open to being able to, you know, take it to another level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely.
I use it. Thank you for explaining that, because I wasn't sure why it worked, but when I feel like I need a reset, it's like something I know I can use to get that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and Renee, actually, speaking of that, when I went to meditation school, there was some, I learned about some like different First Nation tribes around the city area here. And one of the ladies I went with, she told me about that when they would go into their fasting, and it was like a spiritual practice. It was a spiritual cleanse. They would actually fast 4 days before going into it. And then they would do this outdoors, and no food, like they had no food, no water or anything during that. But it was like an actual, not only just an internal cleansing of the body, but like a spiritual cleanse. And it was really interesting. I found it really fascinating learning about it. So
I was actually watching a documentary last week. I don't remember the name of it. It's on Netflix, and it's about a guy who was highly educated. He's from the States, very affluent family, and he suffered from severe depression, and nothing. He tried, you know, electric shock therapies. He was at the Harvard Hospital for Mental Health, and his parents are both, you know, neurologists and specialists in this field. And no matter what they did, they couldn't clear it. So he ended up deciding he was going to go to Peru and do ayahuasca. And, you know, he ended up, there's a whole bunch of different things that happened, but right before he could do the ayahuasca, shaman, he actually had to do, it was like a 7-day fast where he couldn't have anything. And they washed his body in certain, I don't even know what it was, but it was leaves and stuff like that. They cleansed him physically and emotionally and internally. He had to have everything out of him. And it was, I mean, it worked. For him, it worked. And it was a 150-day process of living in a hut by himself and, you know, working with this medicine man. And he came out of it feeling at the end. And it was, there's a lot of power to nature and fasting, and it's used in so many different spiritual practices. So I think you're right, Laura. I think it does definitely take you to a different level.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining that. It's just something I noticed, but it's so neat to hear about why it works.
Yeah. So even with the movement comment, like Daleen was talking about, Tara, you can probably attest to this, is when we set intentions, you know, it is good to move. And it is, you know, when you are meditating and doing the intention, Tara, where she took the course, Mandy, I was watching something she had done, and she explains it, that it sets the intention physically. Is that, you should talk on this one, because I'm going to butcher this one.
I'm saying hi to Kelsey. Hey girl. She's got the 1111 meditation studio here in Shore Park for anybody watching locally. It's awesome.
And Tara teaches meditation there.
Yeah, Kelsey is awesome. She is a spiritual medium. You'll have to check her out. She's really fun. I like her. She's high vibe too. Be like, just hop on, Kelsey, hop on.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, but no, definitely, Renee, the movement, I think it's one of those things. It's like when you have your intention, you put the action behind it, you bring it to the physical realm, and then when you up your vibration and then you include that energy, it's kind of, Laura, you probably know a lot about this through, you know, positive psychology, how it instills in your cells and it starts to become a part of you. And it's not just a single thought, right? And by combining all those things together is what, helps to manifest it, I think, a lot more.
Yeah.
Or if that's, I don't even know if that's what you were asking. Maybe you were talking about moving your energy.
No, I was just even like Daleen had mentioned the exercise, and there is something to that with, raising your vibration with exercise.
Absolutely. And even, sweating too is awesome too for the body, for detoxification, right? They say you can sweat out more lead in an hour than you can hum out your bladder in 24 hours. I was trying to think of the appropriate word there.
Everybody should come to hot yoga with me.
So Daleen, I would love to know, when you work with your clients, what's the biggest thing that you find working with women that becomes blocks or barriers to getting them, kind of stuck in a lower vibration? Do you notice a pattern or a common thing?
Yeah, and it's always like the mindset, like the thought, the beliefs, right? That it starts with your beliefs. And that is the number one thing that really stops people from achieving their dreams and goals and making that forward progress. And, like I see it that you have to make it your normal. And the hardest thing is you just got to do, right? Like get out of your own head, remove emotions, even though emotions are super powerful when they're the right emotion, right? So I really focus on helping people to set up daily habits, because once you get used to doing it, it's just normal and you don't even think about it, right? So it just takes some work to just practice, and then it just becomes rinse and repeat, right? Like, so there's always an underlying thing. So I like to kind of test people and give them challenges, like, let's have you do this, like set that clear goal. And then if they don't do it, well, then we got to dig. Woo, let's get in there and do that internal work, right? So yeah, definitely. And the more action you take, the more, like, the better you feel, because your soul wants you to step into that higher purpose and that best version of yourself. And I think that's why we have all that turmoil that we feel.
Well, and Laura, like, I know you could probably talk to this too with, dealing with coaches and just people in general. A lot of the times fear lowers that vibration. And so how do you recommend, and for a lot of entrepreneurs, I know for me, it's crippling. And I decided to take a life coaching course, naturally, just to work through my own, because no matter who you are, you can get stuck in fear. So how do you recommend?
It's something that I think all entrepreneurs struggle with, right? Like we've chosen this, less steady path, and we struggle with it. And so for me, being, a brand messaging strategist and a brand storyteller, most people come to me because they want to get clients. And a lot of times, because it's that fear of like, paying my bills or having clients and this and that. And a lot of times the first conversation actually is less about what your brand story is or, what to say in your messaging, and more about making that shift in your mind from it being about getting clients so I can pay my bills, right? Or calling in the right people who you can serve. And it's being confident in the value you're bringing and the offers you're sharing, and that it's coming from this genuine place of service and helping. In that shift, that does more to bring in people clients than in getting very strategic. I'm all about getting strategic with the message. I love that. Like, I love all of those things. And, I even do the Facebook ads and all of those wonderful marketing tools that we have. But what has to happen first is that shifting that mindset of it not being about, I got to go out and get clients, but going out and sharing your value and your message and calling in the right people for you to serve. That's first. So in terms of, I think, back to your question of the fears, is I think it's good to kind of remind ourselves that it's all from us, right? Like we aren't getting it out of us. We're our security is here, right? And so this is what we have to get right to create the external security, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
I love it.
Can I pipe in here? Sorry.
Go. Yeah, do it.
Okay, sorry. But I love what Laura said. And I think it's just, it literally, I'm so passionate about energy and high vibe. But the difference is when you're like, I need to get clients, it's your energy is seeking. Your energy is coming from lack.
Yes.
And it's hard to create wealth and build a successful business if internally you're coming from lack. So you need to shift that to abundance and service and detach from the goal, from the money goal.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to shift that focus to focusing on who are you being in that day, like your daily success habits, and focus on being proud of what you do today versus, and the money will come.
Yeah.
It'll flow in, but you got to detach from that seeking energy and lack mentality. So.
When I'm feeling like I'm wanting to call in more clients, that's when I take action to go out to like help someone and serve someone, to just be of service, to just be generous. Because when I'm of service and I'm generous, it always, for me, that's how I make the shift. If I'm trying to make that shift, if I'm in that mode of like, oh my God, I gotta pay this bill, is that's the moment to go be generous and to go be of service.
Yeah.
Well, and that's really the energy that you're putting out. So, and that's what you're going to get back, right? It's that reciprocation.
That abundance.
Energetic exchange. Yeah.
Well, I think something so simple as gratitude and love. If you have love and gratitude in your heart, there isn't room for anything else. And, no matter what the situation, there's always some small thing that you can grab onto and force yourself to flip the situation and find gratitude in it. And I think that just takes you from feeling so stuck in something, because we all face crap. We all face shit. It happens, no matter who you are or what you do. But just, really retraining your brain to grab onto gratitude and love. Yeah, goes a long ways.
Snaps for Nene.
Heart.
It was our soul and social moment of the day.
That was deep. I loved it.
That was so good.
Laura was saying right before the show, she's like, why is it we always talk like 20 seconds and we're deep in the conversation? There's never like a hit.
I love
that's why the name changed to Soul and Social.
Love it.
It's a good name change. I don't know if this is okay, but I'm curious to hear about that shift. Is that something that you can speak to?
Do you want me to take this one, Tara?
You go for it, Renee.
The show started with my brother as one of the hosts. There was 3 of us, and Blaine's located in Manitoba, and that's where the Canadian Social came up, because we were kind of spread across the country. And it started more with the concept of business and sharing stories and supporting each other and just being real. And, bringing on other Canadians and really celebrating Canada. And I think for Tara and I, Blaine ended up shifting out. His business is big and it's very busy, and it was a big time commitment for him. And he'll be back once in a while. But he shifted out, and Tara and I were talking and found the most common thread with all of our guests was there was a pivotal moment for them, no matter what they did. Everybody has this pivotal moment in their life that changes everything, and it redirects them to follow passion and purpose versus drive for money that we start out with, or drive for career and family and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if it's an age thing, but there is a pivotal point in everybody's life where they feel their soul, they connect with it, and it changes everything. And that's what interested Tara and I, was that the soul of the guests that we were having on, and that story and common thread through it all. So that is why the name changed to Soul and Social.
Oh my God, I just love that.
Well, and we kind of, opened opportunity to talk about things that are more in alignment with us and that are more reflective of what we do too. And so then it was fun. We like fun stuff.
I'm curious now, how old were you guys when you had your moment, your awakening?
Oh, I know for me, it started, I was brought up very Christian, very Protestant. So all this stuff scared the living shit, for lack of better words, scared the living shit out of me. And I had my child and it kind of changed things a little bit. So I was 30. And one of my best friends, a woman who was in my mom's group, became one of my best friends for years. And she was very hooey and very into energy and a little more hippie. And I was a commercial realtor at that time, making a lot of money and very business driven. And it kind of shifted my perspective over time. And I started to embrace a little bit of it. And I ended up with a sick child. And that brought out more of it because we ended up going through the naturopaths, and a nutritionist, which ended up changing my career path to nutrition. And then when I went through a divorce, for me, that was the big going from having to having nothing, faith that you can pull yourself through. That was the giant shift for myself, was literally having nothing else to lose and having to flip to gratitude and love and connecting to who I was, because I had lost all of who I was with my career and children and marriage. So for me, that was it, was just hitting a point where I had to find me again. And I kind of really liked who I found. So yeah, you go first.
We like Nene.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, it was really when I went through, I went through a bit of a health hurdle, and at that time, I really got in alignment with myself, meaning I really made choices that I wanted to do, and I kind of shut out what everybody else was doing. And it was after that point, there was kind of a time period there where I was lost, I was confused, I was like, why did this all happen? Where's this going? And I kind of just it was like drawing a line in the sand, with the universe being like, this former story, this former existence wasn't going to happen anymore. And I just had this vision of something bigger that I wanted to explore, and I just didn't want to look back. So I kind of went, that was for me. And I haven't regretted it since. The journey's been amazing, and I've met amazing people, and I didn't expect to be doing today what I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was kind of for me. Do you ladies have one you want to talk about, or? So we're going around the room now.
Yeah. I want to hear Dalene's.
So mine's very similar actually as Renee's, kind of like where it went with my child. My second son was born with Down syndrome. He's 14. And I think that was a pivotal moment, like a life imprint that changed the direction slightly. And then there was marriage struggles that my husband and I had to get through. And then so there was 9 years where it was touch and go, like, woo, just crazy, out of control, trying to figure out who I am and the direction that I want to go. And then for me, it really was March 5th, 2013, where I had boom, the awakening. And it came over me strong and hard. And it was a moment in time where I just got a download, and I got my journal and I started to write. Mm-hmm. And I just knew at that moment in time that I had been called to step up to live my purpose. And I pushed it away for 6 months, and then I just had to surrender, and I enrolled to become a coach. And then the rest is history. It's been 5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it.
Gosh, I can actually kind of think of two really pivotal moments that are kind of separate. One, when I first kind of became open to this energetic world, was a separate moment from me than when I feel like I fully stepped into my purpose. I was really into theater and even did some professional acting at one point. And I was this was a community theater production, but they had brought in masseuses to give us a massage after, tech week, which is right before the show. So it's a crazy week. And this massage person started, her hands way up above me, started running her hands over me and feeling my energy and saying, oh my gosh, she's got such big energy. And she calls the other masseuse over and says, come feel her energy. And they're just doing this. And I'd never experienced anything like that before. But I could feel them, right? Like I could feel them several feet above of me. I could feel them feeling my energy, and I could feel that expansiveness and that myself. And I remember after it was over, like I sort of just felt like I was just floating. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of that moment where I was turned on to the energetic world and that there being something there. And it was kind of a long process through that before I found my purpose. And it was very clear shortly after I started using my gift of acting and writing as other people as a copywriter, because that's writing and acting as somebody else for coaches, and having all of these great coaching clients. My positive psychology background got me the gig initially. And it was in meditation that stronger than ever, because I was into meditation because of that experience, stronger than ever, I heard this, you are a goddess, right? Like it was just like this strong message, you are a goddess. And that moment changed my life forever. And it's when I realized that I was the creator of my space, right? Like I was the creator of my existence. And just not to go on too long on this, but in that moment, I manifested moving to Florida because that was at the time, like I'd always wanted to live by the ocean. I'd always wanted to live by the beach. And in that moment, when I had that realization that I was a goddess and I was creating my reality, I was like, well, if I'm creating my reality, that's where I want to be. And I felt, and I could feel it. I could smell the salty air. I could feel the sea breeze. And I told my husband that I wanted to move here. And he loves me, so he obliged. And it's funny because he put some resumes out there. He got 3 calls in one day to move for a job interview. We drove all night to get here for a job interview because there was no flights. There was a huge festival going on. They offered him the job on the spot. And like less than 3 weeks later, I'm living by the beach. Like that is how fast it can happen when you get into alignment and into the energetic space.
I love that. I know I've heard you tell that story before, and I absolutely.
It is. It is. It's true though.
Going.
Is it just me?
I'm here with you.
Hello.
Hello.
Weird.
Are you here? Can you hear me, Daleen? Oh no, where did everybody go? Are we live?
I'm here. Do you see me? Do you hear me?
Everybody's gone.
Everybody's gone? Am I not here?
Are we still live?
I have no idea. It's saying we're still live, and I don't know where Laura is. Are you ladies? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
I can hear you guys. Well, that was a weird little blip.
At least we all came back in.
We like to be surprising, Make it fun.
Can anybody give us hearts and let us know here?
Oh, I'm watching to see. I think we're back. I think we're live. Sorry about that, everybody. That was an intense moment where Laura was explaining about how quickly manifesting can happen.
It's like it was too call.
Did you just manifest us to go off?
Laura, I think we do this every time.
We do this every time. Okay. Kara and I, we're witchy.
Too much energy, guys. Tone it down, girls.
It's that Shakti, it's just coming out.
Shakti. I love it. Uh-oh. We're just gonna heart. I think Renee's in FOMO. Okay. I don't know if anybody can finish off where Laura was at. You had this like profound speech you were giving us and this like heightened moment and then everybody's just gone.
Boom.
What is going on?
Manifestation's easy.
So what do you guys find that the best way for manifestation is? Because so many people think of the secret and, you know, the secret and, oh, you just have to say it and it comes to you. Well, that is not how it works. No. Do you know what I mean? Totally. So in your experience, for you guys, all three of you, what do you find is the best tools for like intentionally and consciously setting an intention to manifest something in your life?
I think I might be the only one on here, so I'll speak to that. I find that it comes fastest when I detach emotionally from the outcome. Like when I'm putting an outcome or a goal on a pedestal, it takes a lot longer to manifest. But if it's something like, that's just like, that would be so cool, like where there's not a lot of emotional energy there, where it's that seeking, where it's just like acting as if it's going to happen and just expecting it. I find that's when it comes the fastest. And just journaling for me, that's my powerhouse tool, where I love journaling and just getting super clear and like just thinking of all the reasons of why and of why it's happening, and just really painting that vision of what I want and feeling into it. So I guess there is emotion. It's just making it a positive emotion of it's happening versus I want. So it's like it's done. I don't know. How about yourself?
You guys at all?
I see that. I don't. I think it's just us. I don't see them. It's black for me. Can you see them?
Can you guys hear me?
Them. Yeah.
I can hear you.
You can?
Okay. I was going to say, I was like, I think we're all here.
I don't know why. I can't see the other two.
Laura,
I'm looking on my phone and it looks like everything's good on the live. So yeah.
Laura, for you, how do you find that it?
Gosh, I always manifest through meditation practices. And I do think Daleen has a point about that certainty. Like, I just get crazy certain, and it's not even something I contrive or like pretend to feel crazy certain. I just I know when I've done it and it's on its way. And some people would probably think it's delusional, but it's not. I really do know. But in that, I start appreciating things as is, right? I remember in that moment, when I manifested moving here, I remember it was so cold and frigid. And right after I got done meditating and I went outside and it was so cold and frigid and I hated it, I remember being like, oh, I'm so grateful that I'm getting to experience this one last winter. I'm so grateful for the snow and the ice and that my daughter's getting to play in it. And just appreciating that from that way, I think really is part of it for me. But yeah, I've always manifested through meditative practices.
I love that.
I would love to hear from you guys.
Tara.
Yeah, well, I think, definitely. I really believe in the power of collective meditation. So that's one where I like to, especially with new full moons, I like to take and really set those intentions or what it is that I'm wanting to release and really harness in that energy and the power of the collective energy, because I find I manifest much quicker that way. So that's kind of my little fun one. And I find too, when you tap into nature, right now it's a little bit crappy out, -40, but the word crap, it's a little cold like burr. But in the summertime and when I can get out, I find that also makes a difference if I can actually get out and be in nature. And also doing those practices at the same time and bringing it into the physical realm. It's like they talk about Walt Disney and building Disney World, it started as a thought, right? Everything has to start as a thought. It can't just manifest, right? There's things that has to happen, and there's momentum that builds in order for those things to come to fruition. But yeah,
that's a really good point. Just going back to my example of moving to Florida, like we drove all night to get to the job interview, right? Because we couldn't get flights, so we drove all night. Like if we hadn't taken that action to do that aligned action, then it wouldn't have happened, right? So I want to hear from Renee, but when you said that, I was like, yeah.
Well, and I think it's, along the lines of all of you, is for me, it's been this new moon was wow. So
that's an off camera.
Intentions that I had set, and it was, Sunday night I had been journaling, and I think for me, it's the taking action. It's the believing in your very core that it's almost already happened, but still taking the steps to make that happen and towards that goal. Because I don't think it just happens by sitting there and being like, okay, anytime. So like I said, this week was that,
fun.
But it does work. And I mean, it's the moving the body, it's the journaling, it's the meditating on it. It's all of it. It's not one practice. So
now. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to be mindful of your ladies' time. So before we go, because this has been such a fun conversation, I know we could probably talk for like 4 hours and go on and zap and make our computer go off and stuff like that. But I want to let everybody know. And Jess says interesting new moon for sure, or the breakthrough. I'm guessing just behind the scenes there. But yeah, it has been an interesting new moon, I think, for a lot of us. So that's awesome. But so Daleen, where can everybody find you? I'll let you ladies say so it's said right and quicker and I don't do it wrong.
Okay. Awesome. No problem. So my Facebook page is Creating Direction, or you could join my Facebook group, which is the Productivity Blueprint. Love to have you in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to just be your friend. Like, just shoot me a message and say I saw you on, SOUL&Social, and I would like to connect, and I would love to connect, and I would just want to be your friend. So just send me a friend request and shoot me a message so that I know where you're from.
I love that.
I love it. I love it. You ladies are so awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining in this conversation and talking about tuning into higher frequencies and living a more high vibe life, because I know you guys are perfect examples of it. So I couldn't think of two more fabulous ladies to have in this conversation.
Aww.
It's been awesome.
It was so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For everyone who's you go ahead.
No, I'm just hurting.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for your time. We value your time, and we hope you found, something that resonated with you today. And we'd love to hear, what you did connect with, today. And if you have questions for Daleen or Laura, please shoot them in the comments. And heart us, like us, love us, share the video. And you can also find us on YouTube. So all the shows we've done, you can find on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all next Thursday. Thanks again, ladies.
Thanks.
You bet. See you.
Bye-bye.